Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. I have a very special guest with me today, TV personality Deandra Kanu from The Bachelor and many other things. And I can't wait to hear about all the things she has going on now that you're in LA. Welcome.
I'm LA babe now.
Yes, cheers to being in LA
Cheers.
and starting new beginnings for all the better.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the people that don't know where you came from, your journey, tell us how you got to where you are today.
So I was born in Dallas, Texas, and years ago, back in 2019, I was casted for Bachelor. And so for people who don't know that, it's a reality television dating show, and it's like one guy and 30 girls. Have you watched The Bachelor?
Yes.
Okay, so it's one guy, 30 girls, and you go on there and date. And then I did their spinoff, which is Bachelor in Paradise. So it's essentially like a Love Island kind of situation, but for The Bachelor. After reality television, I wanted to do more like hosting and the main television, not just reality. So last year I moved to LA, and now I'm just figuring out my life here in LA, which is different.
How is it so far?
At first I hated it, and then now
Was it just too fast? Like, what did you hate about it?
I think it's because like I was born in Dallas, but I grew up in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm a little bit of a small town. So I want to say like I'm naive to some of these things. It's like very fast here in LA. The people are also really different. Like Southern hospitality is a thing.
Absolutely.
Are you from LA?
I'm from everywhere, girl.
Uh-huh.
I was born in the Philippines. I went to LA. I lived in Jersey. I lived in Singapore. I moved to Alabama. I came back to LA. So in America, I would say I'm from LA.
Okay.
But since I've been in a relationship, I was living in Alabama. And we also have a spot in Atlanta. So I know the South. My dad's from the South. My dad's from Alabama too. So that's very much a thing. Southern hospitality is very much a thing.
Yeah.
LA is very, very different from the South. And even smaller places like, Maine and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's faster than those places, but like it's not as fast as New York.
Yeah.
But it's still fast coming from the South in general. So I can see that that's a huge change and a shock, to come into this. How do you feel? Like, how did that make you feel?
So one, I came alone, and I didn't have like a core group of people that I knew here. It was actually just supposed to be me here for a month. Like I was just testing it out. Like I was still working and doing influencing, and I ended up just like rolling and staying another month, and then finally I got a place. But I think coming alone, not really knowing what to expect, like it just being a very fast place and people's intention. Like I just don't think that like some of the people I was meeting at first were like the best people to be hanging around.
Right.
And you just kind of have to learn how people operate. Like in the South, everyone's super friendly and warm and just like wants to help you. And here in LA, it's like everyone kind of does their own thing and fends for themselves. And I've just figured that out living here.
Yeah, it's definitely dog eat dog out here, and it's a lot of fakeness out here. It's you just got to be careful on like who you surround yourself with and what their motives are, and just find good, genuine people. I heard about you from Zay, which is a great person to be around, and he's always connecting, and he's just always trying to help. So that's a good person to be around here, especially in LA. As far as women go, we just kind of have to be careful on who you're around, even men. LA is different, but it's a good place to start your career, especially doing what you want to do.
Right.
Like, what kind of hosting do you want to do?
So I wouldn't mind starting like maybe as like a correspondent or like red carpet, but I think I ultimately see myself having like my own segment. So like some kind of actual hosting show, not necessarily just a podcast, but something that's actually like live streaming on television, or creating a segment like the Oprah Winfrey channel, or like Tyra Banks, the Tyra show. I just remember just looking at them, and they were television personalities, and I feel like there's a difference between television personalities and like reality television stars and influencers.
Right.
And they're three different lanes, and I feel like with social media we're merging all of them. but it's like each person is talented in a different way. Not everyone who's
Absolutely.
popping on social media can have a conversation.
Right.
And you
that is
probably
true.
know that.
No,
For, like,
that's
meeting people.
very, very true. Like, you have a lot of people that are out there that are just like solely one trick ponies, and you don't necessarily have to be, but if that's, you know, your niche and that's where you fit, then
Yeah.
110% you can have that lane. But if you see yourself obviously doing more than what it is that you're known for doing, and I feel like, you know, when you do reality TV, you're kind of put in a space of like segregation.
Yeah.
Because this is who you are. You're only known as
Yeah.
someone that was on the Bachelor, you know, and that's not who I am. That's what I did as a situation, as a one-time thing, but that doesn't justify who you are as a person and what your character is and what it is that you want to be and how you want to kind of grow from that situation.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, you know, I did reality TV too, so back in the day, and you know, I just took it and kind of ran with it and just did what I wanted to do instead of what they kind of made me look like. You know, so that's kind of where I feel like a lot of people that tend to be in reality shows, they're stuck with like, okay, I'm a reality star now I have to stay in this field, and I have to, you know, keep doing these dating shows or keep doing these, you know, reality things, and when you don't really have to, you know. So it's good that you found, like, you know, your path and what it is that you want to do, and what purpose you want to serve. And I feel like LA is the perfect place to do it. You know, if not LA, where else? New York, you know, and that's all the way on the other side. At least you're still close to home.
Exactly. And I feel like for you, how many years post doing reality talk? Wait, what were you on?
I was on Wags.
Okay, so you're on Wax. So how many years post doing that did you feel like you started to disassociate with, oh, that's the girl from Wags, and you became your own
They
person?
still say it.
Really?
And that was 2017.
Okay. So it's like
Yeah.
you're still creating that image post, and which is great because I feel like maybe it gave you a platform, or like maybe,
and that's one thing I can attest to. Like, it did give me a platform, and it's how I used that platform, because it was like, you know, I wasn't solely Telli Swift on Wags, you know, because I same thing. Like, I was still influencing, I was modeling, I did pageantry. So for me, I kind of was like, okay, well, what am I going to do to grow my platform in a positive way? You know, I was nursing at the time before I did the show. And then afterwards, it was so much going on that it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to work 12-hour shifts and, you know, still manage what I'm doing outside of work, still move and, you know, do the things that I was doing. And it was kind of like, all right, what path am I going to take now? Because I can't do what I was doing before and still manage what I'm trying to grow to do as well too. So I just became an entrepreneur. And then the pandemic hit a few years later. I started making masks. I developed an association for... Initially, it was our eldest daughter has spina bifida, so I was raising funds and awareness for spina bifida. There was no place for like the women of boxing to come together and like support each other and I guess kind of get together and talk about the things that we were dealing with our spouses and, you know, what they were dealing with and all of that. So I developed an association for the women of boxers, retired or active boxers, to just come together and like help our community and stuff like that. So I did that, and then I developed masks. My masks, I did it for frontline workers and service providers and grocery stores, and then I did a medical mask, and then I did a non-medical mask, and then I realized the mask didn't match my outfit, so I made fashionable masks that went into Neiman Marcus. So I just kept going and kept going, and, you know, just started multiple businesses, because now here I am. I have this platform. I have followers. I have people watching. Now I'm able to create things to kind of grow my brand. You know, so now I have masks, now I have fragrance, now I have candles, now I have accessories, now, you know, and it just keeps on growing. So it's never limit yourself to doing what they kind of box you in, you know, and whether that's society, whether that's production, whatever it is, because I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that like space. And the fact that, you know, like, this isn't all I want to be, because I was the same way. I was like, this isn't all I want to be. Like, I don't want to be known for being that person that was like, okay, we're on this reality show and I'm nagging this man to be like, all right, sir, what are we doing?
Exactly.
You know, so like, I didn't want that like classification, because that's not who I was. you know, it was like a part of who I am, but like it still wasn't like completely me. So it's just like developing people to know who you are is key to like kind of like deteriorating from that reality world scene.
And I think it's really beautiful because the way that you're saying it is like, one, you were in nursing when you're on the show, and then you get off the show and it's like you can't really go back to that because it's like also being a television personality, now you're going to work and people are recognizing you maybe, and now they're talking about, you know, at work, and you're trying to do this, and maybe nursing wasn't your passion, but it's something that you did just like as a means, or like maybe at the time it was. I think that's important that you say that because people go on to reality television and no one talks about the transition after reality television into like maybe going back to your old job, or like still having to maintain certain things while doing influencing, because influencing comes and goes. Like it comes in waves. Like sometimes you get paid, some months you don't. And so like having to navigate like still working while being an influencer, while having the expectation that you're on reality television, you should be like famous, you should be doing this, and then finding your lane and like creating your products and like being in your relationship. And I think that it's really beautiful that you're able to transition like that. And I'm hoping like my transition comes shortly like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no one talks about how sometimes going to your old job for a little bit, or like trying to find your lane after reality television, is like a real thing. You don't just go on reality television and you're Kim Kardashian. Yeah,
absolutely. And it is very much so a real thing. And a lot of people that do reality TV, nobody goes back to their old job because now you're in this situation where you experience this on TV. Now they're talking about you. Now they're judging you. Now it's your work environment no longer becomes solely a work environment. Now it's a personal environment. Now you're in my personal business, which technically I signed up for, but what you sign up for, you don't really expect what the outcome is until it actually happens. You know what I'm saying? So as far as like experiences on reality TV, you know, at the time, I ended up getting pregnant on reality TV.
Really?
So my situation was completely like different. It was like, you know, I was complaining about I want to get married and then have a baby, get married and then have a baby and all of that stuff. And I just felt like he spoke it into existence because he kept talking about it. And then bam, I'm literally taking a pregnancy test on reality TV, finding out I'm pregnant on reality TV.
First kid?
No, technically my third kid, because my second kid I miscarried, so it was my third kid. So, and I miscarried at 4 months, so I didn't want to like announce it to the world, because if something was to happen, then now I got to deal with it publicly, you know. So that was kind of like, and he was so excited, so I kind of was like, and production already knows, so it's like you can't really kind of get away. Can't get away from it. So that was like, after that, everything completely changed, because now the storyline is like, okay, when are we getting married? Because now I'm pregnant. So it just, to me, I felt like reality TV made me look like I was just like this nagging person trying to get the ring. And I'm like, but this was discussed years before we even got on TV. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, it didn't make it look like our situation was our situation prior to, you know, what they made it seem like it was. Because it was like, yeah, they're together, but they're not married, or like, you know, they've been dating for this long, and what's the issue? And so then I had to deal with that on TV, you know. So it's just like, when I got pregnant with my daughter, my baby shower, and this is what I feel like a lot of people don't understand, the after, like you said, you know, I had my baby shower for my daughter. Everyone had to sign NDAs because no one could talk about it because it wasn't out on the season, you know. So when our season began is when I already had my daughter. So I wasn't even pregnant, like the world didn't even know I was pregnant yet. So by the last episode, my daughter was already like 6 months old, like 4 or 6 months old. So after I had my baby, like I went on Access Hollywood and announced like my baby's name, and so it was like a whole like ordeal. But I felt like it was almost like I had to keep my child from the world because this wasn't out yet. So it was different. It was a different experience, and I don't feel like people understand like what you have to deal with and be judged after reality TV, because it's like it's you, but it's not all of you. You know what I'm saying? Like that I felt like isn't all of my personality. Granted, like my situation wasn't, so bad, but I felt like it was almost like, damn, you're nagging to get married. And I'm like, but you guys don't understand. This was conversations years before we even got on TV. So like we have matching tattoos already. Like, we're way past the like talking stage, so it was kind of that type of situation for me where it was like, okay, now I got to deal with this. Now I got to deal with, people judging my relationship and how I had a baby and why I had a baby. And I'm just like, I don't want the car. I don't want this. I want the ring. Like, don't show me a car because I already have a car. Like, I don't need another car. I need a ring because I don't want to go in and be a baby mama. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was that type of situation, but it's like, this is something that we already discussed prior to. So I felt like it was like situations where, it could have been production or it could have been like, just different situations where I feel like, why are we at the car dealership right now? Like, why?
Where are we?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but regardless of that, I always say, like, I'll never do another reality television that involves like a partner or like dating, because it's so vulnerable, one, to put your relationship out there. So it's like, I commend you for that, because it's so funny to me that women especially will sit there and judge your relationship. And I'm like, the kind of stuff that they let slide in their own life, which they have nothing,
right,
they don't know anything about your relationship. But I'm like, people from behind the screen make it seem so easy to talk about, well, you should have done this, or I would never be with a person like that. Or like, even with me on the show, it's like, oh, well, she should have done this, or she should have liked that person. I'm like, first of all, you're not seeing the whole story. And secondly, it's like, you can't cast judgment in one of the most vulnerable parts of your life. Like, you pick your partner and like, you have your reasons for why you picked your partner. No one else needs to know. No one else should have like say or input.
Absolutely.
But then to watch you like have to put that on television, like, it's like, I'm allowing you in my relationship, but then to judge me for that is like so hard. And I feel so bad for women who like have to deal with that. And your situation probably isn't even like worth even talking about, like if you weren't on television. It's like, that's just like any other relationship. But because it's on the big screen and because people are bored and have nothing better to do, it's like you have to navigate them talking about your relationship and like seeing you in person. It's like hiding your child from the world because this isn't aired. And just like, reality television is such a real, unreal experience.
Oh, 110%. And like you said, the judgment that comes with it, because we were in our relationship and we were living together, and they were like, oh, well, there was other couples on the show that were married that didn't do half the things that I did in my relationship, cook, clean, whatever it was, Southern stuff. Yeah. And I feel like the things that I was doing, they're like, oh, I don't do this, and I'm married, and like, why isn't he marrying you? And you do all these things that you're supposed to do as a wife, and you're a girlfriend. So I'm like, okay, like, what's going on over here? You know what I'm saying? So then it just makes things that might not even be an issue in your relationship an issue in your relationship. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was very, very hard to do. And I wouldn't do another reality show unless I had full control as a production, directing, all of that. And then I would do it. Like, if I had control over my likeliness and what goes on air, then I would do it. And it would have to depend. It would depend on what it was.
Right. Yeah, because with reality television, it's like, it's real to a degree, but then it's not, because there's certain things you can or can't say, or things you can or can't do, or ways that you can navigate. And it's too much of a risk, especially when it comes to something so personal like your relationship, to like have to do that, especially after having a baby. I can't imagine finding out you're pregnant on the show.
Yeah. Like, so half of the season, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, I was completely... I found out, we ended up filming longer than we were supposed to film because it was like a new owner of the network that I was on. So our direction was completely different. So initially, we ended up filming for like 6 or 7 months for one season. And it was very, very long, 12-hour days. And because I got pregnant, I was filming 2-3 scenes a day. And it was a lot. And, like, we had stressful scenes, like where there's things where it's like, do I really want to talk about this right now? And it's like, okay, we're going to dinner and this is what the dinner's about. And I'm like, okay, like, and then there's scenes where I'm like, I'm not dealing with this because I already had a situation with another child. I'm not about to lose my child for a conversation, or I'm not about to lose my child over some dumb drama. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's scenes I was like, I'm not doing this, at all.
Just because the stress level was like
too
just
because the stress level. And then I'm like knowing my personality and knowing other people's personalities that was on the show, I was like, you guys don't want this smoke right now, and
Right.
I'm not in a position to give you this smoke right now, so I'm gonna stay away from the smoke. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it was situations like that, and I was just kind of like, this is not what I'm gonna do, and this is not like, you know, how I want to portray myself. And then the situations ended up being drama with my man instead of drama with the girls, and I'm like, okay, well, I could deal with that drama, but at the same time, do I really want to deal with that drama? You know, do I want to put that out? And it was situations where, and like, I would get so frustrated, and then I'm obviously pregnant, so my emotions are everywhere, where I'm literally like, I remember a scene where I was like crying in the car because I'm like, I don't want another car, we have 13 cars, like, you know what I'm saying, like, what is the purpose of this? Like, so it was just situations that like that I'm like, damn, I wish I could have reacted differently. But at that moment, it was that emotion and that time, and that's what they put out there, you know what I'm saying, where I had no control over what it was that they put out. So it was kind of like that very, very vulnerable state of, you know, mind, body, or whatever it was. And it's like, okay, now I got to deal with this, now I got to live with this, now I got to be the person that, this is the meme for it, this is the, you know what I'm saying, that of it. So it's like, I remember I was interviewing someone one time, and you know, he was somebody that I didn't even know thought I existed. And he was like, I got to tell you something. I watch your show, and me and my girl talk about this moment all the time. And I was just oh, like, you watch my show and you remember out of the whole thing, that moment. Like, I'm like, oh, out of everything, like, you know. So it's kind of like, I mean, damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So it was situations like that where you're going to be judged all the time anyways, whether you're on TV or not. And you just kind of have to learn how to deal with it. I feel like that's the hardest part of reality TV, learning how to deal with the backlash and the judgment, and kind of tuning out and knowing who you are as a person, as opposed to what they portray you to be.
And then also, I feel like a lot of people in the reality television like complain about the producers or like the production, especially like with The Bachelor. It's like, well, you know, I felt like they made me do this, and I'm like, at the end of the day, no one should make you do anything, and they really can't make you do anything. But it's about knowing who you are. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, if you said something, you did say it. Whether they chopped and screwed it and put it over here, it's like whatever it was, it did come out of your mouth, and that's okay. No one knows the context of it, but like people are like, well, this is fake, it's not real, like they chopped and screwed it, and I'm like, but you still said it, or like you still cried that way, and it's okay. Like, absolutely, being on the back end, it's like, it's okay. Like,
absolutely. And they do that. They chop and screw everything, and they're not your friends. They're there to make great, not even good, great TV. So that, I feel like, is, you know, their job. That's their job, and they're going to put you in situations, and they're going to make great TV because that's their job. It's up to you to say, hey, I'm going to do this scene, or I'm not going to do this scene. And I, like, you know, like I said, I was in a situation that I wouldn't let my health take over the situation that I was in. Like, I wasn't going to be like, oh, I'm doing this scene to stress myself out for what? You know, a couple $1,000s, like, it's not worth it. You know, so I was just, I was turning scenes down a lot. So they kind of had to, like, I wouldn't say I was difficult. Oh, I don't want to say I was difficult, but like, I just felt like, you know, they understood my situation, and, you know, it ended up working. Reality TV ended up working in my favor. So I'm like grateful for what it was, and what it is, and what I did, and, you know, what I did with it afterwards. So it just, how you kind of like maneuver after that is the most important thing.
I agree. And I think that, like, in my situation, because there were so many of us on the show, and like, it just depends on how far you go, everyone gets a different size platform. And so, of course, that's not an excuse for how you use your platform, but like, coming off a primarily like white television show, which is The Bachelor and Bachelorette, I do feel like my audience doesn't necessarily always align exactly with who I am and who I'm becoming and who I want to be. So now I'm finding that even with my time in LA, like, I'm refinding my audience, and I'm like regrowing my audience, and like refinding people who actually want to hear what I have to say, and don't just follow me because I was on a television show and unfollow me because then I start posting my opinion or posting things that I care about or I'm passionate about. So like, that's also been something that I'm navigating here in LA.
What do you think your audience is as far as now?
I feel like I'm losing my Bachelor audience, which is totally fine because if they were only there because I was on The Bachelor, that's not a sustainable audience and it's not necessarily like an audience that cares about you as a person. And I'm finding people who more so like care about when like things that are important that you have to say. Like I don't think I have any followers who follow me just because I'm pretty or like just because I'm posting because I never post sexy pictures. So that's definitely not it. I feel like the kind of followers I have like care about issues that I talk about or like navigating the world. I talk a lot about like mental health or like not being perfect or like I try to like never edit my photos, little things like that because I want to empower women.
Right.
And so women who want to be led by other women and want to find women who I don't want to fall into the things that are like LA. Like sometimes the LA can represent and like girls getting lost in like the partying, girls getting lost in like sacrificing your morals to like climb the ladder. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Whether or not that sets me back.
And you shouldn't, and nobody should do that.
Yeah. But I feel like there's an easy way and then there's like a harder way.
Absolutely.
And I'm taking the harder way. And then it's like...
And that's fine. That's okay, yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
And you could live with it at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think it's also different, like, you know, not having a man out here in LA. So it's not like I have someone to like help me and like, you know, maybe take care of me or like be here for like moral support or mental support. So I think that's also been different is like watching other people who do have their partners with them in like the place that they're trying to thrive in. And so just navigating this whole world is very interesting to me.
Yeah, it is. Are you looking for someone now? Like, are you in search for someone? Are you just like focusing on yourself? Where are you at with everything now?
I'm not interested in anyone or like looking for anyone at this time. It's more so like figuring out what I'm gonna do, like the lane that I'm gonna fit into, like how I'm gonna make the career for myself, because I want to travel. I want to like, I don't think I'm gonna live in LA like my whole life or anything like that. I want to get what I can. I want to learn. I want to develop as a person here, and then, you know, travel the world.
Do you feel like The Bachelor kind of traumatized your perspective on like being with a man?
It's so interesting. No, because the kind of men that The Bachelor picked, they're just different. Like everyone has a taste, and I feel like a lot of the people that I was just on the beach with, or like, you know, who I was there for in the mansion, it's not necessarily someone in real life that you would be attracted to or date. So it's like I can't even really say that. I think after the show I was scared to date though, because people have this expectation, you're on reality television, you should have no problem dating, you know, you look a certain way, and that's just not it. Everyone has their own experience with dating, whether it's like hard or easy for them, but it also depends on what they're looking for. Like I'm not looking for just like a boyfriend just to entertain me for now. I'm looking for a husband.
Right.
And like whatever man I date, I want to make sure like I'm taking that very seriously because that's eventually going to be the person I want to be with. I don't know. I just feel like I'm like this Southern girl who like is bringing her Southern morals to LA, and like we're all different, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel you're wholesome, and I feel that like you're looking for someone that's wholesome as well too, and you know that, and you should look for someone that fits who you are and what you want, and whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. Because why would you want to be with anyone else outside of someone that makes you happy? And look other places, and there's more than just LA.
Look other places.
Look other places, girl. Look other places. So I just feel like, you know, it's a lot of buffoonery out here. It's a facade, and people are acting like they're acting. That's exactly what it is. It's Hollywood.
It's the best acting place I've ever been.
It's crazy. I remember in the past, I had a boyfriend that was like, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, you know, your mom still pays your phone bill and you live with your aunt. And I'm like, wait, this is not what I signed up for. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of that going around, and it's just, you know, you live and you learn and you grow and you find who you want to be with, and, you know, you compromise certain things, because I feel like a relationship is all about compromise. You're not going to get everything that you want out of somebody, and they're not going to get everything that they want out of you in the same sense. I just feel like, you know, it's work. It's never perfect, you know, but it's who you kind of compromise with and find that person that you're okay with the things that they, I guess, their flaws are. Like there's stuff that you're like, okay, I'm not going to tolerate this. This is absolutely a no-go in my book. But then there's like, you know, like if they're messy and it's like, okay, I know he's not as clean as me. And,
Right.
you know, there's things that you learn to tolerate and there's things that you learn to compromise with in relationships that I feel like you learn every day. People grow every day. But as far as like, you know, perfection and I feel like a lot of people look for perfection in certain things and it's just like it's never going to be perfect. It's whatever it is. There's your kids are going to spill stuff. Your husband, your boyfriend is not going to be exactly what you want him to be. You're going to argue, you're going to have debates, like you're not going to agree on things doesn't mean it has to lead to something, you know, to destruction or whatever the case is. As long as you guys can communicate, then, you know, as long as both people are willing and trying, that's all you can ask for, I feel like.
I agree. Do you think that social media plays a part in like dating these days and creates an unrealistic standard for relationships?
110%.
Yeah.
110%. I feel like social media is what you make it, first and foremost. Like I feel like if you allow it to affect your relationship, then it will affect your relationship. If you allow it to be temptation in your relationship, it will be temptation in your relationship. I feel like as humans, we have control over what we want to interact with or what we want to deal with, and that just depends on the person. You know, I feel like social media has made it easier for to access people, to date people, to get in trouble, like, you know what I'm saying, whatever that may be, lead it to where your mind wants it to lead. But I just feel like, you know, that's if you allow it to, you know. So I feel like relationships should be private to an extent. Like what you show is what you're willing to show, not what if you're not willing to show it, then it shouldn't be on social media. So that's just how I feel with, like, you know, relationships and social media. It's a dangerous place only if you allow it to be.
I agree. And I think one of the funniest things to me is that social media is like, I feel like it's an extended reality now. Like, yes, it's not real, but it's an extended reality in the sense that it's a form of communication. And so
Absolutely.
Like when you hear guys, especially like on the internet, debating that like, oh, social media doesn't matter, you can like a girl's picture and it means nothing. I'm like, to me, social media, like a girl's picture that you don't know and don't interact with, is the equivalent of like winking at someone in person, like in real life.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I always feel like that argument that social media isn't real, I'm like, but you get on it every day. You post pictures, you post stories, you like care enough to put your life onto social media, but you're saying it's not real. It doesn't really align with me. And so it's like seeing like situations like that play out just like in life and people having these conversations, and that's just like the age of social media in this modern world. I just think it's so interesting when people try to have conversations and like debate that it's not real.
Yeah, I think like with liking pictures, it depends on the content of the picture. Like if you're liking a picture and the girl's ass is like bam, and you're liking it because her ass is like bam. But if you're liking a picture, like, you know, my man boxes, for example, if he's liking a picture and a girl's working out and she's boxing, I'm not going to think nothing of it. But if you're liking a picture and it's a picture of some ass, I'm going to be like, why are you liking that girl's ass? Like, what's going on over here? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to like that. Because if I go like a picture of a man and, you know, he got a print showing, then it's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, you got to have some respect and you got to have some boundaries. So I just feel like it just depends on the content of what they're liking. But you know, I feel like when you're like in my situation, I've been in a relationship for so long now that it's almost like I'm not concerned about like the pictures that he's liking now, because I already know where we're at in our relationship, where I'm like I got so much going on. I'm not trying to like micromanage, you know, what he's got going on, because it's like I know where you're at and I know where I'm at and I know where we're at and I know like we have a family. So it's kind of like, you know, like it's dangerous, like I said, but it's how you go about it. Like I know, and he knows I'm not going to be on social media like commenting on no guy's picture like, damn, you look good, or like, you know what I'm saying, wink face emoji, or just like things that I know other people could see and other people could run back and tell him, and vice versa. So I just feel like there's that level of respect that you should have in your relationship or your partnership or whatever it is that you're doing, that you guys should like align and agree to.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, you know, social media shouldn't be an issue in a relationship if you have that communication.
Of course. I agree.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like as long as you have that understanding on both ends, and it makes things easier and better.
Yeah.
But it's hard because it's like when relationships now is kind of like you're dating, and you kind of have to be like, you have to ask questions. You have to be like, okay, what do you want in life? Well, how do you want? Do you want a family? Do you want this? Like, they have to be asked, because
Right.
it's like, why would you invest yourself with someone if they don't want the same things that you want? Ultimately, you're just wasting your time, you know? So I just feel like if you're looking for a spouse, man, woman, you know, whoever it may be, whether it's you or someone else, ask questions that you want in your relationship, you
Right.
know?
Foundational questions.
Yeah, foundational questions, moral questions, standards, goals. Like, if you have no goals, I'm sorry, I can't be with you. If you have no standards, I can't be with you. If you don't want kids, whatever it may be, like, you know, because it's just like you're wasting your time. Now, granted, can those feelings change after spending more time with someone? Absolutely. But it's like, do you even want to stick around to see if it'll change?
Right.
For what?
You might be wasting your time.
Yeah, I just like, I feel like there's no point. You know, there's so many people in this world that can share the same energy as you, and then there's people that is just a waste of time or want other things, and you're never going to be fulfilling for them, and they're never going to be fulfilling for you, because it's just two different mindsets.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if you can weed out all the bad and, you know, figure out who's good, then but then obviously that takes time to date, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with you, but about asking foundational questions, because I feel like sometimes there's hesitation from women to want to ask those foundational questions,
Yeah.
like early in dating, which I feel like is a mistake. I feel like
Absolutely.
when I meet a guy, I'm like, okay, let's sit down. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want in life? Are you looking for a relationship?
Yeah,
Are you
absolutely.
not? And if you're scared of scaring someone away, then that's not your person. Like,
Absolutely.
if a man
Agreed.
runs because you ask, do you eventually want a relationship with somebody? It doesn't have to be me, but like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and they run away, that's not your person.
Yeah.
So I feel like this whole like tiptoeing around men and like when
Yeah,
you're dating
no.
and stuff, I'm like, you're not going to date intentionally. You're going to waste your time with a man for 7 years. And like,
What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Okay.
What are
When
you?
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
Yeah, what's your birthday?
May, I'm like, why am I struggling to remember my birthday? May 29th.
Oh, okay, my mom's the 22nd.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a Gemini.
Yeah, she's a Gemini.
So you know the
too.
Geminis.
Yeah. Yeah,
We're a
y'all
good
got
time.
two sides.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, literally, we do have two sides. I have like 5 different personalities.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think my mom has like maybe 3.
Really?
Yeah. She's either really funny, super sweet, super nice, but if you piss her off, she's like, whew,
Mm-hmm.
don't piss her off.
That's a good woman.
Yeah, so yeah, no, she's a good person though, like, but yeah, no, I feel like you just got to find your person, you know, and I don't care if you're asking questions. I don't care if like you're doing different things on different dates, like, you know, just to see if we're meant to be, like, why not? You know, that's the whole purpose of dating, is to get to know your person.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like, you know, never put all your eggs in one basket until you're ready to, because why? Guys don't do it.
They don't. And it's so interesting to me. But again, it's like this whole modern day dating, like guys dating 5 women, and then when the opposite things happen, when it's like a woman's like trying to date multiple men, it's not a good look. And personally,
Yeah.
I can't juggle that many people.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I
Right.
just don't think I would have like fun like going on like 5 different dates,
Yeah.
5 different days.
No, absolutely.
I forget names. But
Yeah.
I can barely remember my own name half the time.
I'm the same way.
Like-
I'm like, wait, let me see. But no, I 110% agree with you. Like, you don't have to date and juggle. I just feel like if you
Just don't
dating
go all in.
doesn't consist solely of like going out with someone. I feel like if you're talking to someone and getting to know that person, and that conversation becomes good, then it's like, okay, now we can go lead up and do, you know, an actual date. You know, but it doesn't mean that I feel like you're sleeping with 5 guys
Yeah.
because you're talking to 5 guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's how you move, then that's how you move. But it's like, you don't have to necessarily like date the way everyone expects dating to be. Like, you can
Right.
do it on your own terms and still be a wholesome woman and still be respected, because hey, you know, this guy might have something that I like mentally. This guy might have something that I like emotionally. This guy might have something that I relate with physically. You know, we both work out. you don't work out, but you're into business, you know, or whatever the case is. Like, you can pick different things in their personality, their character, their mindset, to where it's like, okay, is this someone I can be with and compromise with? Is this someone I could be with and compromise with? And then go from there and figure out who it is that you want to date. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like this stigma on like dating 5 guys means I'm out here on the streets. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to mean like what women do, men are doing, or what men are doing, women are doing. It can be a classy way to go about things without having to like be a hoe. Yeah. You know? So I just feel like I really don't care what society thinks. I just feel like if you know who you are and know what you bring to the table and know what you're putting out there, then I really don't care what you say about, you know, whoever that person may be, or myself or whatever, because I know who I am and I know what I do and I know what I don't do. So as long as you have that mentality, you know, and just not really care about like, I guess, people's judgment, you know, like just like who cares about what you're doing. I feel like ultimately God knows what you're doing. So if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, then it's going to come to light eventually, whether I see it or don't see it. Someone's going to tell me about it, or whatever the case is. And I don't think that relationship should have to be where you're like playing detective. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be able to do what you want, and I do what I want, and we trust each other, where we don't have to do all that, you know? Exactly. So I just feel like even when you're dating, like, you shouldn't have to be like, okay, what do you got going on? And I don't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we focus on what we need to focus on. You focus on your career, and then I feel like everything else will follow eventually, and, you know, in God's time, and it just happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Agreed. Well put. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everyone that comes, we play this game called Dirty Minds. It's a game. It's the world's cleanest, nastiest game.
I think I heard it.
Yeah. So I'm going to describe a word, and you're going to pick 3 cards, hand them to me, don't look at them, and then you're going to guess the word that I'm describing.
Okay. So just pick 3 cards, any of them?
Your nails are so good, by the way.
Thank you. I just got them done. I feel like they match a little.
I know, they're perfect. Okay. When I work on your hole, I start to come out of my pants. I get paid to play with my rod. I usually come in a truck. I do a little poke to clean out your pipes. If there's too much hair in your hole, I need Q-tip. A longer tool. No.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Okay. If there's too much hair in your hole, I need a longer tool. That's a good one. I get paid to play with my rod. So something that has a rod. I usually come in a truck. I do a little poking to clean out your pipes.
A broom?
No. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
A plumber.
Oh, okay. So it could be a person? I guess it's a plumber. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's too much hair in your hole.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was the best one.
That was.
All right. Okay. You scream at the sight of my big black column. If you're lucky, I'll just tear your clothes off. I can come on you without much warning. When I blow you, it's easy to get carried away. If you try to take a picture of me when I'm coming, you're nuts.
Which one do you think is the
best clue is when I blow you, it's easy to get carried away. And I mean, it's usually not described as a black column, but you scream at the sight of my big black column is another good one.
A blow dryer?
No, much bigger than a blow dryer. When I blow you, it's easy to get carried away. Like, actually carried away. Like,
oh, it's a roller coaster.
No.
Oh.
Close. Well, not close, but it's big like that.
Dump truck?
No. When I blow you, it's easy to get actually, like, carried into the air away.
Why can't I think this? Helicopter.
No.
I'm really
it's a tornado.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was like black column. I was like, that's a good one, but it's like, who describes a tornado as a black column?
I would say like a cylinder.
Yeah, that's better. A cylinder. Yeah.
Dang, I'm 0 for 2.
All right, you're gonna get this one. I got faith, girl. Okay. All day long, it's in and out. Okay, a better way to describe this one. All day long, people come in and out of it.
Okay.
All day long, it's up and down. It's used to take a man. It used to take a man to get me going.
An elevator?
Yes.
Oh!
Yes. I was trying to figure out, it used to take a man to get me going, but a woman can get an elevator going.
It is. I'm glad that you said the first one, people come in and out of it, because then I would have been like...
Yeah, because it says all day long, it's in and out. All day long, it's up and down. So I'm like... Yeah. If I'm jerking you a lot, you feel like you want to get off.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. If you know what it is. Already.
Yeah. If you know what it is.
Well, you got 1 out of 3. That's good.
How many do people get usually?
Some get 2, some get none, some get 1. Some, like, I've had, like, doctors and stuff, and they're, like, just super smart, and they get them all. Okay. And they want more, and so, yeah.
Can I do one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just see if I can get this last one.
Okay. Capone had a short one. The Beaver had a long one. Bono doesn't use his. Mr. Potter's was hairy. John Silver's was long.
A baseball bat?
No.
A piece of wood?
No. Okay, I'm going to read them back to you again. No. Capone had a short one. Al Capone. Capone had a short one. The Beaver had a long one. Bono doesn't use his. Mr. Potter's was hairy. Harry Potter. John Silver's was long. Long John Silver.
I'm so lost on this one.
First name.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Capone, Al Capone.
Okay.
Capone had a short one.
Okay.
Yeah. John Silver's was long.
Potter's was hairy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
1
she
for
did
4.
Good. She did good, y'all. Tell everybody where they could find you, what you have going on, whatever you want. Yeah,
you guys can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Deandra Kanu, and just stay tuned for my lifestyle content.
Yes. And make sure you guys follow her and tune into all the things that she has going on. And that is it for Telli Talks.